only afford to lose about a handful of those lawmakers given the GOP's narrow majority. Edwin Mora, Washington.
Also at townhall.com, Senator Marco Rubio predicts Hamas will continue to use disinformation in coming weeks to try and sway the world's feelings about Israel from sympathy to condemnation.
In the aftermath of such a horrible thing that Hamas did, it's easy to be on Israel's side and condemn it. But the real test is going to come here in a week, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks, because this campaign against Hamas is going to be brutal, bloody, tragic, painful, difficult.
Rubio refers to the Gaza hospital bombing. He says many U.S. news organizations employ Hamas supporters who are likely to spin news stories against Israel. Rubio interviewed on the Salem radio network. Meanwhile, Israel will allow Egypt to deliver limited quantities of humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said that decision was approved after a request from visiting President Biden. Mexico's president says leaders of Cuba, Venezuela, Haiti, and Honduras will attend a summit on migration that Mexico will host on Sunday. Those four countries among the biggest sources of migrants currently showing up at the U.S. border. The Dow is down 238 points, the NASDAQ losing nearly 200. More at townhall.com.
Donald Trump's indictment proves that saving America is not going to be easy. There are entrenched powers that are fighting this with everything they've got. They want to keep control over the country, the narrative, and the nation's money supply. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau. I'm a news analyst, a Christian author, and evangelical leader. I speak to millions of people every week, people just like you. You see, what the elites are doing is using inflation and government handouts and now central bank digital currencies to determine how they're going to control America. And that's why I recommend all Christians start a gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group, because physical precious metals are one of the few ways you can maintain control over your own savings. To get a free info kit on gold IRAs, text the word faith to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and you'll see why a gold IRA can help you. There are no strings attached. Text the word faith to 989898 and you're going to be blessed by taking action.
When it's important to you,
stay informed.
It's on News Talk STL.
It was a peace festival. We did nothing to provoke them.
The message that I bring to Israel is this: we will always be there by your side.
We're strong here. We're powerful here.
Humanity has to decide: are we accommodating terror or are we fighting terror?
News, analysis, and opinion.
Hamas has to be annihilated.
We need peace. 101.9 and 94.1.
Gotta know what's happening.
News Talk STL. This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Nice and warm today with a high in the upper 70s and increasing cloudiness. A little breezy, too, with south winds at 15, gusting up to 20 miles per hour. Maybe a spot shower this evening. And a few showers around overnight tonight, but not a lot of rain. Overnight lows in the mid-50s. Tomorrow's high in the upper 60s with partly cloudy skies. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
The team that brought conservative talk radio to St. Louis is back. This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion from the voices you know and trust. Mike Ferguson, Tim Jones, Dan Bongino, Tony Colombo, Vic Porcelli, Katie Fitzpatrick, Chris Arce, Ken Williams, Larry Connors, Abe Pfeiffer, Joe Pags, Randy Tobler, Ben Shapiro. Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home. This hour of Colombo and Katie brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com. Tony Colombo.
Libertarianism is all about individual liberty.
Katie Fitzpatrick.
Oh, good for you.
Colombo and Katie on News Talk STL.
Time to rise has been engaged. We're better, best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song, the finest hour, the finest hour.
Hello and welcome to Wednesday afternoon here on Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. I'm Tony Colombo. My partner is Katie Fitzpatrick. And it's another wild day. We've got another great show for you. So thank you for being here with us. How are you?
I'm great. How about you?
Oh, just another day in paradise.
Just living.
Yep. So I am going to right now. I'm gonna make a statement,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna say it out loud. So I have to stick to my word.
Okay.
We of course are going to talk about the Middle East and the Speaker of the House today, but we are also going to talk about other things.
Yep. Yep.
Because of course, those are the two big stories. Those are the things that we need to keep an eye on and keep everybody up to speed on. It's important. It's our job. It's to keep everybody informed on the most important issues. And those are the two biggest headlines. But there are other things going on. And there are other things to talk about. And so we're going to talk about other things today as well. There's lots happening in this crazy world. So we... a little shakeup today. The great Rodney Boyd, the insider's insider of local news and politics, who is usually with us on Wednesday afternoons, was unable to join us. So, Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer. I can't think of a more suitable person to talk to instead of Rodney Boyd when it comes to local news, issues, politics, even national news, than Senator Schroer. So looking forward to that conversation in just about 10 minutes from now. And then we will open up Closest Cabinet just after 3 o'clock. And I think we're going to have a special guest for that as well, but I'm not going to tell you who that is yet. But we will have a little bit of fun as we always do. Perfect day to do it. Wednesday, again, kind of take a breath, have a little fun in the middle of the week. We do that each and every week with Closest Cabinet with our buddy Mark Close from KC95 just after 3 o'clock on Wednesdays. And we're going to do that today, but with a special guest. All right. So let's start with Speaker of the House. Round 2 got even worse. So remember yesterday we were talking about the traditional mindset and the traditional process. And when something like this is happening, is the first round of vote is for everybody to get their protest on the record. So if you are going to not vote for Jim Jordan, so specifically how that would apply to this situation is if you are one of the Republicans that don't like Jim Jordan, you don't like the fact that we're here, but you understand that it's time to coalesce and move forward. The first round of vote is to put that on the record, the no vote, and not vote for Jim Jordan. The second round is supposed to be when it's like, okay, everybody got it out. Everybody's on the record. We know what, you could go back to your constituents and you could say I voted, like I stood up for my principles, but then, for the better of the party, we all fall together. So that's what a lot of people were saying was going to happen with this second round of votes. However, we reported yesterday that there were already reports coming out from inside the Capitol that it was actually going to be the opposite, that a lot of Republicans were looking at the first vote as this is his chance. This is Jim Jordan's chance. I'll give him a chance. I'll vote for him. I don't like it, but I'll vote for him. And if he doesn't make it, I'm not voting for him again, which is totally different than the typical approach. And that's kind of what happened. He actually lost votes in round 2. Only one, because he did pick up one also, but he's actually further away from Speaker of the House after round 2 than he was after round 1. So round 1 happened just a little bit ago, or round 2, happened just a little bit ago. Jim Jordan received 199 votes. Hakeem Jeffries, all 212 Democrats. One interesting part of it, like everybody has to vote for somebody because, as we mentioned yesterday, another important part of this is that a congressperson can't just vote present like they do in so many other, when they don't want to go on the record one way or another on an issue, they'll just vote present.
Mm-hmm.
They can't here because if they do that, Republicans especially, if they vote present, it basically makes it like they're not there, and it lowers the threshold. It lowers the the majority threshold. So if you vote present, if 5 or 6 people vote present, now you don't need 217 votes to be speaker. You only need 212 votes, and that's how many Hakeem Jeffries has. So they have to say something. So a lot of people said Steve Scalise. A lot of the 21 people, or however many it was, Republicans didn't vote for Jordan. A lot of them said Steve Scalise. A lot of them said Kevin McCarthy. But like one person said Byron Donalds, who's not running. Hello. Another person said John Boehner, who used to be the old Speaker of the House from years ago.
It's just so strange.
Like, why would you vote for John Boehner? He's not like Dan Bongino just did this. I did it in my office a couple hours ago. Dan Bongino was just doing it on the air too. I was like, same, Dan. He's not running. John, you're voting for somebody who's not. Why would you vote for John Boehner? Why would you vote for Lee Zeldin? Why would you vote for Byron Donalds? They're not running.
What? My question, and these are the interviews that I actually want to hear after all of the voting is done. What is the opposition to Jordan? What is their opposition?
It's a great question.
Is it Jim Jordan himself, or is it the optics surrounding Jim Jordan that people have created? What is it?
It's a great question. We touched on this yesterday because I mentioned that if Jim Jordan could go to the 20 or so Republicans that are voting against him, and tried to convince them, you would think that there would be one thing. Like, what's the problem? They all have the same problem.
Yes.
But that's the problem. Same problem a lot here. That's the problem.
That's the same problem.
That's the problem with the problem.
Right.
It's not just one problem.
Right.
There are several issues. There is that he's too close to Donald Trump. He got Trump's endorsement, which that right there makes him either the favorite person or the least favorite person of certain individuals. He is considered to be too conservative or too hardline by some moderates. Some of the moderates think that he won't, isn't the type of person that will negotiate, isn't the type of person that will come in the middle and work with others. So there's that. Then there's people that are just mad, that think that Kevin McCarthy was stolen. This was stolen from him, and that Matt Gaetz and his group just are trying to wreck the party and the tradition, and they're just not standing for it, period. So there's not just one thing. There's not just one. It's like, what's your problem? And it really is not one answer from all the people that are voting against him.
It's not one answer, but they all seem personal.
All of this seems personal.
Unless it is a constituent issue, unless you are a purple, unless you are truly from a purple state and they're like, we don't really like Donald Trump and therefore we don't like Jim Jordan, then I can see you representing your people saying, they wouldn't really like that. Of course, we know that is most of the time not true. But if you're telling me that the reasons these people have come up with are all personal reasons, will the agenda work? Will the conservative agenda work under Jim Jordan? That is the yes or no question we are looking for. If the answer is yes, then we should move forward.
Mm-hmm.
If the answer is no, which I highly doubt the answer is no, that's a different issue in itself. But that is the only question that should be asked.
Mm. So what happens now? That's, of course, always the best question to ask. What happens now?
Mm-hmm.
So, again, there are mixed reports. When we went on the air yesterday, there were reports coming directly from Congress people that said that the second round of voting, they were tweeting and saying the second round of voting is going to happen this afternoon, and it didn't happen yesterday afternoon. So,
here we are again.
There are some reports that there will be the third round today, but until it happens, I don't know you don't know what to think or trust. So there could be another round today. Could be multiple more rounds today. I mean, or there could be another recess until tomorrow. there are some Republicans that are saying, this is what we're doing, and we're going to stay here and stick to this plan as long as it takes. It took McCarthy 15 rounds of votes. If it takes Jim Jordan 115 rounds of vote, this is what we're doing. And there's others that have another plan. So here's the details. As I mentioned, some Republicans are willing to do whatever it takes to just stick to the plan. Representative Congressman Jeff Duncan tweeted recently, just an hour or so ago, quote, "Don't lose faith in Jim Jordan, or don't lose faith if Jim Jordan loses a few votes on the second ballot." Okay, so this was right before the second ballot. "Don't lose faith if Jim Jordan loses a few votes on the second ballot. I'm committed to voting as many times as we must to get Jim elected as speaker. As long as he's putting his name forward, if that means we vote all night, then buckle up because we'll vote all night." So that's one line of thinking. We're just going to stay here and keep going.
I agree with that line.
There are other reports that some Republicans are looking at expanding the powers of interim House Speaker Patrick McHenry, and that had an idea that is reportedly gaining support amid the stalemate, which would allow the House to at least do some business while this all is happening. I think that's a terrible idea, personally, the expanding of the powers of Patrick McHenry so they can get some, because kicking the can down the road is never the right answer, because once you do that once, it becomes easier and easier to just keep doing it. We don't need a speaker. Boop, kick the can down the road. Oh, we still don't agree? We don't need another speaker for let's give him another 30 days of power. Boop, kick the can down the road.
I agree with that.
Like, if they give themselves an out, that like, oh, well, it's a little, just, like one little chance, a little hole, little loophole in the system that, for this one time, and then that hole will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Totally
As soon as it's created, it'll just you'll open Pandora's box. So to me, that's the worst idea of all of them.
I think that that's a really bad idea. I also think I understand there are more important things going on in the world than the speakership, but the speakership is very, very, very important.
It is.
So to kick the can down the road and to allow that hole to rip bigger and bigger and bigger, you're just putting the emphasis on the speakership not being important.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that like, besides a war and a terrorist attack happening in Israel, this is the second biggest thing that is happening specifically in the United States.
Yeah. And to your point, there are bigger things happening and important things happening in the world. That should be the motivation.
Yes.
That should be the pressure.
Yes.
That on why and how important it is to get this done now, not the excuse to kick the can down the road.
Yes. Totally agree.
Let's I was gonna bring up this story. It's worlds colliding. The two biggest stories in the world right now: Speaker of the House, or at least here, the Speaker of the House story and the war in Israel, have come together in a headline today. And I was gonna do that with just me and you, but let's get Nick Schroer in here.
Sure.
And we will do that story and then get into some other news and headlines, including the continued reaction. I said this yesterday. If I'm stunned by one thing more than anything, it is about the situation in Israel. It is how loudly and how not condemned the anti-Israel stuff has been in the media, in politicians, and all of that. So got a couple stories that sort of highlight that as well. We'll get into all of that and more next with Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
As we can see, the past has turned
You're listening to Colombo and Katie. Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Now more than ever, it is important to know when it's time to unplug and get away from the world. It's good for the soul. And the best way that I know how to do that is to get out into the great outdoors, whether it be fishing or hiking or camping or hunting or whatever it is. And before your next trip to the great outdoors, the best place to go to prepare is our friends at Bluff City Outdoors on Broadway in Alton, about a mile east of Fast Eddie's there. On Broadway in Alton, you can find Bluff City Outdoors. They have been the go-to place for everything for fishing for decades, and they have recently expanded. In fact, they've more than doubled the size of Bluff City Outdoors in the last year, which means they have many more products and services, including the fishing stuff, again, for basically all of your activities in the great outdoors. They have their brand new state-of-the-art archery range, which you can shoot in every single day. Absolutely incredible. They have the best bow techs in the area. So if you need your archery equipment, if you need new equipment, or if you need your old equipment restrung or tuned up or whatever it may be, they've got you covered there as well, and so much more. Also, don't forget about the Bluff City Outdoors show, Saturdays at 11 a.m. here on News Talk STL, hosted by myself and the owner of Bluff City Outdoors, Mark McMurray. So check out Bluff City Outdoors before your next trip into the great outdoors, and learn more by following Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook or at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
On Thursday, we've got the update on the Republican drama in the search for a Speaker of the House, and we're also talking about the backlash against Black Lives Matter for supporting Hamas.
Morning starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL.
I own with greed. Nothing to live for, but that's what I believe. Concepts, my concept of greed. Blueprints, sorrow, placed on the shelf. Crying, weeping, for no one else. Halo, Titans.
Let's go.
Screws loose. Halo, Titans. Screws loose.
Yeah. All right. Come on. One more time. Nice.
Does that make you feel better about
It does
today?
make me feel better.
Good.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 109 and 94.1. News Talk STL. Fragile Porcelain Mice. You know that guy. I don't know what they're doing now. I don't know if Fragile is still playing a little bit like The Urge or other local
I
bands.
feel
from
like
the
I
90s.
heard about them playing recently on The Point.
Yeah,
I heard
that
said
sounds.
something.
I mean, I think that they have done some like reunions and coming back together. Or what? But when they were in there, when they were like getting big, the lead singer was a teacher. He was a substitute teacher, so he was like. There were chances in the 90s of you in this, if you lived in the St. Louis area, of like seeing Fragile Porcelain Mice at Mississippi Nights on a Saturday night, and then the lead singer was your teacher on Monday.
Cool. So cool. I love that.
Yep, I love that too. All right, back to the craziness of the day here on Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. And as we mentioned, joining us on the line now is our friend Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer, host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night here on News Talk STL. And Nick, thanks so much for your time, buddy. How are you?
Hey, I'm not Rod the Bod. I don't have that physique, but I do have the knowledge of what's happening in Jeff City. As I'm actually heading back from a hearing. We're not in session right now, but heading back from a hearing that we had today in the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules. So
really, okay,
lucky to get snagged with all the knowledge that I have right now.
Yeah, so I was going to dive in some other stories because I just assumed that it was a kind of a quiet time in Jeff City with you guys, but fill us in. Like what is happening right now? We're 3 months away, 2.5 months away from beginning another session. I know that there's a lot of preparation that's going into that, but this hearing and outside of what you did today, like what are you guys working on? What does this part of the year do for the Missouri Congress?
Well, there's a lot going on. We had 2 different hearings today. I am the chairman of the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules. You'll hear that. I know Rodney's mentioned it before. It's called JCAR. And typically it's a joint committee with members of the House and the Senate coming together and holding accountable the agencies, the different groups that are out there. That when you pass a law and the departments have to enact different laws, they got to pass through us first. And with this recreational marijuana industry, all these new rules that went into effect back, I think in May, the department has issued some guidance, and that guidance has actually kind of twisted and turned and converted the rules into something totally different. So the committee came together today. We didn't have a final resolution to this, but we did. I think most of the legislators agreed that the department can't do that. We cited case law where this has gone on in the past, where the departments issue these statements that are binding business owners, they're binding the industry. And when it comes to the recreational marijuana industry, that's one where the people spoke loud and clear by way of the ballot. So keeping the public safe, but also having this program that the people wanted passed, that's something that I think Republicans and Democrats can agree on. And while we're talking about different substances and marijuana, we also had a hearing today on the Joint Committee on drug treatment and substance abuse and treatment. And typically we're taking testimony from different departments and different experts in the field dealing with what are some better ways that we can protect people and keep them from using drugs, keep them from committing crimes. And once they're there, how can we rehabilitate them? And I know a big issue lately, and this is a committee that I created and I passed into law, I want to say back in 2019. Our main focus recently has been with the increase in the illegal immigrants coming in. Now you have the city of St. Louis focusing on taking some of those immigrants from Chicago and moving them into the city of St. Louis. What are we going to do with human trafficking and drug trafficking like fentanyl? So those are 2 things that I think as the session starts up back in January, we're going to hear more and more about that with these committees as they're ongoing.
Help me out there. Why are we moving people from one city to another? What's the goal? Yeah, what's the benefit of the people that are advocating that? What's the reason why? It just seems I don't see any reason to do that.
But neither do I. But I think what the Democrats lack is something that you and I and Katie all have, is common sense. You have a city that is crippled right now with crime. You have issues with your 911 system that you can't even get through. You have a shortage of police. Recruiting retention is a massive issue. Crime is spreading. Businesses are fleeing. And what are you going to do? You're going to take in more people and put them where? More illegal people and put them where? Where are they going to work? You have no transit. You have nothing beneficial to them. So why are you bringing these people into a city that they're more than likely to become victimized or murdered? In the most violent city, as Wallet Hub just came out a week or 2 ago, saying that St. Louis is the most violent city once again in America. And look, when the World Health Organization a couple of years ago did a study on the most violent cities in the world, St. Louis was the only one that came in. I think it was number 7. Was the only one that came in and broke the top 10. So I don't know. If you guys have answers, I would love to hear them. But another decision by Tashara Jones and the Socialist Democrats in the city of St. Louis that's going to hurt the region even more.
I saw that Wallet Hub poll that was just released that put St. Louis at number 1 in the country again. But that what you mentioned, the one about in the world, the fact that we would that any country in America or any city in America, especially our very own, would even be in the top 40 is incredible, because we see you look around the world and you see all the problems that the world has, and you think to yourself, as bad as things are here, at least this is still the United States. So if St. Louis is in the top 10 in the world, that is mind-boggling and should be very, very eye-opening. You mentioned Nick, the marijuana situation. That was obviously a big deal. I was very pro legalization. I don't like the way we did it with the constitutional amendment. Right. But of course, the argument has always been that that it's going to raise. There's a ton of tax. I mean, the medical side of things and the addiction and the crime side of things. But also, there's always that talk of how much money it was going to bring in. Is it too early, or are we starting to see whether or not that was true or not? Is the state of Missouri seeing a tax windfall from the legalization of marijuana, or have we not given enough time yet?
Yeah, I think we are seeing a windfall. I think we're going to continue to see a windfall. We've got states like Illinois next to us that, even though they've had a legalized system, their taxation system is hurting and was driving a lot of people to the underground, back to the black market, where you have to worry about it getting laced with certain things like fentanyl. But now that Missouri is legalized, we've seen people coming from all over, all of the neighboring states that we have. We're seeing an influx of people using, not only in the state, and some still in the medical program, some on the recreational, but we're seeing other people coming in from other states as well. And I know there's a lot of marijuana prohibitionists out there, but when it was illegal, it was still being used. And then we had issues with kids thinking they're going to smoke a joint or eat an edible that they got from Billy down on the street corner, but it was laced with fentanyl. And here you actually have a system where they're making sure it's not going to be laced with deadly carcinogens or something that could kill them, like fentanyl. But yeah, we are seeing a lot of the tax revenue. It's going to be curious to see if Congress ever gets off of their butts. And I'm not even talking about just the Jim Jordan speaker issue. Yeah. If they get off their butts on this issue, marijuana is still a Schedule 1 drug, which means that it has no medical benefits whatsoever, even though the majority of the states have said, yeah, we're legalizing it in a medical fashion. You know what's a Schedule 2 lower than that? Fentanyl. Wow. So I think if they ever get off their butts, it's going to be very interesting to see how that revenue continues moving in the state of Missouri. But a plan for me, and this is going to be a couple years down the road, because a lot of pieces have to move. I think we take some of that revenue. We take the revenue from medical. We take the revenue from recreational. Hopefully, we can pass a form of sports betting in the state of Missouri. It's already happening. People are buying VPNs to do that, but other states are benefiting. And then we take all of that revenue and say, okay, let's look at getting rid of your personal property tax. Let's look at getting rid of your income tax, your real estate tax. We have these new revenue sources, but again, we would have to go back to the ballot, because some of those things are already allocated either to 100% to veterans, substance abuse, or even our education system.
Yeah, you touched on exactly where I was going when you were talking about how the business of the marijuana business here in Missouri and how it's attracting people from other states. The first thought I had, the joke in my head was, people that live near the border, they drive to Missouri to get their pot, and then they drive to Illinois to do their sports betting, because they can't do both in the same place for some reason. I would imagine that sports betting and some of the other hot button issues that we have talked about recently, like the constitutional amendment process that I just touched on, some of those big headlines from the last session are probably going to be front and center in this next session. As you kind of look forward to January in this next session, what are going to be some of the highlighted, spotlighted issues, you think?
Well, for me personally, I think, with the governor who is facing being termed out, he's not running for another office. I think he's mentally just checked out. He sees the writing on the wall. A lot of his team have already jumped ship and gone to different campaigns. So we rolled out something a couple weeks ago called the Fight for Five. And that is from my staff, me, and my office. We're taking the leadership when nobody else will. And we see that we are on the verge of becoming, like Congress is right now, at a stalemate. We have a supermajority Republican Party, but we can't get our act together. So we need somebody to go in there, be the enforcer, and say, look, we have crime, we have education, healthcare reform, taxation, and preserving our Constitution. You hit the nail on the head. IP reform. Those are my 5 big topics that I need to get done. But it's interesting to note that not this weekend, next weekend, we will have the Missouri Senate Republican caucus down in Branson, Missouri. That's where all the Republicans get together to hash things out. And I will be slamming heads together to say, as the youngest Republican in the Missouri Senate, it is embarrassing to see that people that are my parents and my grandparents' age are acting worse than my children. And the people of Missouri are suffering. We need true leadership. We need to address these issues so we can be the beacon of hope and freedom in the United States as the rest of the nation is burning.
Well said. And you know what? You just said something that made me think of a conversation that we had in this studio yesterday. Yesterday at 3:05, we talked to Ron Clutho, who is the host of Stories of New Americans, which is a show you can hear every Saturday night here on News Talk STL, and his guest, Johnny Harper, who is a veteran of the U.S. military and was in Beirut. Almost, I think Monday is 40 years to the day of a very famous terrorist bombing sneak attack that has so many similarities to what is happening today. It is crazy. As he was telling his story, he got emotional. It was amazing, the firsthand account. And I highly recommend anybody go back and check out the check out our podcast to hear that firsthand story. But Nick, what you just said, it made me think of it, is that he has been fighting for years to get the state of Missouri to just recognize that day, because there were a particularly strong amount of the, especially St. Louis area community that has ties to that region and were affected by that attack, and just have an official recognition. And he's tried. We hooked him up with Justin Sparks, my friend, your friend, Congressman, Missouri representative, and they tried to get this request to the governor's desk, and they were basically told the governor's not interested.
Not important.
And I don't know if Katie, I can't remember if I said this. And look, not interested in even looking. Just look. If you end up saying no, that's fine. But like not considering it, come on. And Katie, I can't remember if I said this on or off the air, but Nick, it's exactly what you just said. When we were talking yesterday, I said, I think that this governor he's in his last year, and he just doesn't want to do anything to tarnish his. It's just like, I'm in cruise control.
Out. Yep.
I'm in cruise control to get to the end. I'm not going to start anything. I'm not going to mix up anything. I'm not going to create any controversy. I'm just going to get out of here. And when you said that, Nick, it really kind of drove home that point. Is that what we're kind of facing, you think, here in the state of Missouri for the next year until a new governor is elected?
Well, I think if we rely upon leadership from the top, and that's one of the biggest issues with politics nowadays. I mean, even growing up, I failed to pay attention to local politics, to school boards, to city council. And we only just concentrate on what's going on in Washington, D.C., or what's the governor going to do. No, we need true leadership. But I mentioned this on Stand and Fight a couple of weeks ago, is that you've got the lobby corps. You've got the special interest lobbyists. Well, who's representing we the people? Who's the people's lobbyists? Well, it's us. It's me, Justin Sparks. It's the legislators that are going down there, bringing and echoing the people's voice. And I think in Congress, they're failing. The people's lobby is failing. I think in the state of Missouri, the people's lobby needs to grow a spine and stand up and say, look, if other elected leaders aren't going to lead, we will come out and fight to ensure that these things that the governor vetoed impacting St. Charles County, fixing our 911 system, having a law enforcement training facility that would help the entire state, or getting the cancer-causing carcinogens out of the water, we will take the lead when he won't. And I think ultimately this is a example of a broader issue of people prioritizing the personalities and me instead of service to the state. And when you're worried about your legacy, when you're worried about, oh, I can't vote for Jim Jordan because whatever reason, no, look what's going around in our world. Look what's going on to state above self. That's what we need out of our leaders.
Yep, well said. And just to be clear, personally, I have generally been a fan of Governor Parson and continue to be. I just get this feeling. I get this feeling that we're kind of just like, all right, we've done everything that we were going to do, and now we're just going to cruise control to the end. Got just a couple minutes left here with Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer. And let's touch on what is happening in the Capitol with the Speaker of the House situation. There is a lot of fear among Republican voters that after this long fight to finally take back the majority and get Nancy Pelosi out of that position as Speaker of the House, that Republicans could be handing it right back to Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats. With all this division and controversy and non-progress that's being made throughout this, do you think that that damage is real, like long-lasting damage to the Republican Party is real? And furthermore, if it is, does it affect local politics? Does it affect local Republicans and sort of tarnish your reputation as well because of all of this controversy happening on the television?
Well, I do think that it can have lasting effects. I do think it's embarrassing to the Republican Party. But I think if we implement what I just said, if we take the bull by the horns here locally and say, look, by way of the 10th Amendment, we should have more power than the federal government should. We can make more impact to our constituents' lives by abiding by the Constitution and standing up and fighting for our constituents, then know that I don't think that it will impact local races. But this, again, this is so embarrassing because I think that the people of America are going to see this for, I don't know. It's just embarrassing is the one word that I can continue to go back to.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. When you look at the McCarthy issue, when it took so long for him to get elected, and you could go to individual members and say, what is your issue with voting for McCarthy? And like Matt Gaetz, he wanted certain things to get done. Like some of those members that voted to remove McCarthy, they said, well, he made promises to me that he did not keep. I don't see that happening on the other side. You have people who are, again, prioritizing whatever personal issues they have. Me. What can I get out of this rather than what can the people of the United States or our constituents get out of this? And to me, that's, even though it is sad to see this happening, it's good to see who the true uniparty members are. Who are the people that are prioritizing themselves and their legacy over protecting America, protecting this republic. So I hope that these people are zeroed in on or primaried and kicked the hell out of the office, or that the Republican National Convention will come out and say, no, you guys got to find a different party because you guys are acting worse than Democrats. You're acting like crybabies.
Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer, great stuff as always. Really appreciate your time this afternoon. Of course, you can hear Nick every Sunday night at 8 o'clock on Stand and Fight here on News Talk STL, as well as a regular guest with Vic Porcelli and just about everywhere else here on the radio station. And Nick, if people want to keep up with you on social media and everything that you're working on to keep up with you on a daily basis, remind folks all of the places they can do that.
Easiest way, go to nickschroer.com. It'll link you up to all of the social media stuff. Or like you said, tune in every Sunday, 8 to 10 p.m. Find us on newstalkstl.com or Rumble.
Awesome. Great stuff, Nick. Thank you so much for your time again, and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. God bless you all.
Yeah, back at you. That is Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer. Great stuff there from him. All right. Got this story about the war in Israel and how it is now impacting, or I guess maybe vice versa, the Speaker of the House situation and how it is impacting part of the discussion around the war in Israel. We'll fill you in on that. And a famous actress was just fired for condemning terrorists on Twitter. Wow.
Wow.
Tell you those stories and more next on Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Colombo and Katie, the new faces of talk radio. Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
Can't even stand.
The news and talk
We're thrilled to be here to take back this state from the radical left lunatics
that matters to St. Louis.
It's about the auto workers who are part of the fabric of the working class of this country.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Kids don't always like to get school report cards, but they are important and helpful. They document subjects where they're strong and others where they need to show some improvement. Ever wonder why you don't get a report on how your child's school compares to others? At the Show Me Institute, we think you should, and that's why we've started the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org, and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on several categories, such as student performance in English, language arts, and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district will have a grade, and the website is easy to use. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Now you can. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey, Colombo here for Rockwood Charcoal. I love to grill and definitely prefer using charcoal over gas. And ever since I met Jonathan Heslop and he introduced me to his product, Rockwood Lump Charcoal, I can't use anything else. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory and has been the nationally highest consumer-ranked charcoal for several years. So you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. Doesn't get any better than that. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
This hour of Colombo and Katie brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Is it local music day?
I think so.
Nice. Justin Ra right there. Man, that's a good song. Justin Ra is such a talented dude.
Oh yeah, that's such a cool
Just
voice.
a talented dude. I had my Justin Ra didgeridoo t-shirt on in Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
Did you?
Standing in front of the mountains, and I took a picture of it and I sent it to him, and I was like, rocking your merch in the Smoky Mountains. I didn't tell him it was the worst vacation of my life, but
he can know that story later.
Yeah, he can hear that later.
that is bad.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Check out this story. I think that people don't realize, we talk about the impact of not having a speaker and how it stops everything it stops progress from moving forward. And we have talked a lot about the loud voices condemning Israel in both the media and in politicians, and how surprising that has been and why people aren't doing more about it. Well, one of the reasons is they can't while there is no Speaker of the House. So last week we did a story about a Michigan congressman, I can't remember his name, who had said that he was going to file like a resolution against Rashida Tlaib for her anti-Semitic, anti-Israel. And he said, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it on this date, and and then I remember thinking to myself, and we reported the story, but I don't remember if we followed up on the air or not about like it. I remember thinking to myself last week, like, what happened to this guy? Why didn't he do it? Well, he can't do it because you can't present business to the House of Representatives when there is no House of Representatives.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So today, Senator Mark Wayne Mullen of Oklahoma went after the far left members of Congress like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and Cori Bush, who have blamed Israel and attacked them recently as this whole thing has played out, and has made a plea to his to the Republicans in Congress to elect a speaker so something can be done against these people. He lamented that the Republican-led House cannot bring forth a resolution to condemn these statements because the chamber remains without a speaker. This comes on the heels of Rashida Tlaib's latest claim about Israel bombing a Christian hospital in the Gaza Strip. Have you seen this? This has been the latest protest that's everywhere on television and especially on social media.
I have seen the obviously what we saw yesterday, and that there's some misinformation going around.
So yesterday, over the last 24 hours, one of the biggest stories is that this Christian hospital in the Gaza Strip was bombed, quote, by Israel,
right?
And it killed hundreds of people, including patients, children, doctors in the hospital, right? Well, so Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar have both gone public and condemned Israel for blowing up this hospital and killing innocent people. And none of it's true. In fact, it was even confirmed today by the president, by Joe Biden, to the press in public, that the bomb that hit that hospital was a Hamas bomb. I'll find it here. Destroyed by a Palestinian Islamic Jihad rocket, not an Israeli missile. So that means the terrorists that Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Cori Bush, and all of these other people are defending and saying, sticking up for and saying that Israel attacking these people and fighting this war is war crimes and all of the terrible things that they said. The terrorists blew up their own hospital and killed their own people, knowing that it would trying to frame Israel, because they were the first ones. The Hamas and the terrorist groups there, they were the first ones to say, look at this. They put the pictures out and said, look what Israel did. They blew up this. They look what they did to us. They attacked a hospital. They killed children. They killed doctors, when they're the ones that did it themselves.
So I saw this today, and it was Newsmax that I saw it on, and they had intercepted, maybe the president released this information, maybe Blinken did, but they had intercepted some of the communication with Hamas, and Newsmax played the video of 3 Hamas soldiers on audio saying, "We hit the hospital." They're saying it was the Israeli shrapnel. It is our shrapnel. That was our missile that they claimed misfired. But it was 3 Hamas soldiers audio presentation on Newsmax's Facebook. If anybody wants to check it out.
Like I said, the president of the United States, Joe Biden, said it was asked about it either this morning or late yesterday. And he said that he can confirm that was not an Israeli missile, that it was a Palestinian rocket that hit the hospital. And the reporter said, "How do you know?" And he said, "I've seen the DOD reports and evidence in the intelligence. I've seen the proof myself.
It's just
it wasn't Israel." And here's Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and so many others still publicly saying that it was Israel that blew up this. So that's the level of, when we talked yesterday about there's 2 sets of rules, there's 2 playing fields.
Yes.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. They're killing their own people to try to frame. It's like the ultimate Jussie Smollett.
It is.
It's like it really is. And they're getting away with it.
But to your point, now we have all of these. This hospital bombing has struck worldwide protests. I don't know. There's a protest at the Capitol happening right now. I don't know if it's pro-Israel or anti-Israel. I can't see that far on Fox News. But
it's the major protest is anti-Israel, but both things are happening there.
But this is why it's disgusting, and why that what we talked to Crane about yesterday is so important. The media has a role to correct what they wrote yesterday. I saw it on AP, I saw it on ABC, I saw it on NBC. Every single article said the Israeli rocket, the Israeli missile, killed the civilians in this hospital. And have they yet to overcorrect? I have not seen so.
Yeah. I want to do this story real quick because we're going to open up Closest Cabinet with a special guest at just after 3:00. The veteran voice actress Tara Strong has been fired from her recent role on the independent animated series Boxtown. I don't know what that is, but Tara Strong has voiced some of the main characters on shows like the Powderpuff Girls, Rugrats, and Teen Titans. So this is a person that is very.
She might play Doug on Rugrats. Okay, I think I know exactly who this is. Yes,
a very famous voice actress, and was currently working on a show called Boxtown. And she was just fired.
Wow.
This week. The show's statement about it said, quote, "Hello all, just wanted to offer a quick update on Boxtown. We will be recasting the role of Bill, previously played by Tara Strong. We'll have more info soon on open auditions. Thanks for y'all's understanding as we reorientate and figure out the next steps." In a separate statement, the show addressed questions from fans about why she was fired. Quote, "The decision was due to a trend among Tara's recent online activity, including posts that promote controversial messages regarding the peoples of Palestine currently being affected by the ongoing Israel-Palestine crisis. We believe that our public platform gives us the duty to be careful when it comes to hateful messages and misinformation online. That extends to our cast and crew. This was not a difficult decision. Slam dunk, because of all this hate that she's spreading. You want to hear the hate that she's spreading? Here's the statements that got her fired on Twitter. Tara Strong posted once, quote, "For those who support the actions of Hamas when they infiltrate your hometown on your soil, break into Jewish homes, raping, beheading innocent babies, will you applaud them? Will you wave their flag while they slaughter Christians and Muslims who don't believe their ideologies?" That was one. Here's the other. Quote, "World's gone crazy. People arguing online about whether or not the mass raping, shooting, and kidnapping of innocent young women from around the world at a music festival is justified. Could happen at any music festival. Supporting terrorists empowers them, and that's globally terrifying."
Oh my God.
Those are the statements that this show, Boxtown, called the trend of recent online, including promoting controversial messages.
Wow.
And spreading hate and misinformation.
Wow.
Unbelievable. All right,
Insane.
Closest Cabinet next.
As winter approaches and we keep our energy-efficient homes closed, we are exposed to many different chemicals, molds, dust, virus, and bacteria floating throughout the air. Hi, I'm Everett Jones, owner of Jones Air and Water. Since 1995, Jones Air and Water has helped many breathe better and reduce allergens in their home and business. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit joneswater.com for more info. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water on the web at joneswater.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Round 2 in House voting comes up empty. Republican Congressman Mike Gallagher says it's time for his party to pick a Speaker of the House.
At the end of the day, with a narrow majority, we have to come together and support the candidate that gets the majority vote in caucus. Otherwise, you're effectively accepting prolonged chaos or effectively handing control of the House to the Democrats.
Congressman Gallagher made his comments to the Salem Radio Network. In today's voting, Jim Jordan ended up with even less votes than Tuesday. Also at townhall.com, President Biden said that humanitarian assistance being sent to Gaza is intended for innocent Palestinian civilians, not the militant leadership.
Israel agreed humanitarian assistance can begin to move from Egypt to Gaza. Let me be clear. If Hamas diverts or steals the assistance, they will have demonstrated once again that they have no concern for the welfare of the Palestinian people.
The president met with Israeli first responders and the families of victims as part of his visit to the region. Correspondent Karen Chamas reports.
The president moved from one Israeli to another as they each told him their personal stories in relation to the recent Israeli war with Hamas. He whispered to one woman who worked at a hospital treating Israelis and Palestinians.
Thank you for what you do.
As his meeting came to an end, he told the crowd of people whom he just met that they reminded him of a line from an Irish poem.
Too long of suffering makes a stone of a heart. The thing that I found in just this real quick meeting with all of you is none of your hearts have turned to stone yet.
I'm Karen Chamas.
And on Wall Street, the Dow was down 332 points today. The NASDAQ closed 219 points in the red. More at townhall.com.
If you trade stocks, then you know avoiding pitfalls is the biggest challenge for both new and experienced investors. Vantage Point's dual-patented artificial intelligence provides a powerful solution to this problem by offering predictive accuracy, emotional neutrality, and diverse market forecasts for today's active traders. Vantage Point's AI analyzes billions of data point predicted market conditions for the next trading day. Take the emotion out of your trading. Text the word money to 813-813. Navigate the financial markets with confidence using AI. Text MONEY to 813-813 right now to learn more for free. Text money to 813-813 to experience the benefits of AI in your trading. Trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors. Past results do not guarantee future performance. By texting, you agree to the terms available at VantagePointSoftware.com and consent to receive calls and texts using automated technology about offers or info by or on behalf of Vantage Point. Your consent is not a condition to purchase and can be revoked at any time. Message and data rates may apply. Text the word money to 813-813.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. A brief shower possible this evening, especially late evening for St. Louis. That moves through, then we're dry overnight with a low 55. Turning mostly cloudy Thursday and a high of 68. Couple sprinkles possible, but a low chance. Mostly just a cooler and cloudy day. And then Friday we'll break out into some sunshine, a high of 71 with sunny skies. That's the latest First Alert 4 forecast. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
News commentary.
Taylor Swift's bodyguard left his job with the pop star to return to the Israeli Defense Force. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Headlines have been saturated with trivial Taylor Swift news and updates for the last several weeks, but finally, here is a Taylor Swift-related story worth mentioning. One of the pop star's bodyguards that worked to protect her during her Eras tour has left his post to return to Israel and fight for his country as an IDF reservist. This guard became internet famous over the summer as Swifties posted videos of him guarding their beloved pop star. Before coming to the USA, the unnamed guard was a member of the IDF, and sources say he couldn't sit idly by and watch his people be attacked and slaughtered by Hamas terrorists. As cool and lucrative as it must be to guard arguably the biggest celebrity in the world right now, it's even more noble and admirable that he was willing to leave that behind to fight for his people. So now back to your regularly scheduled Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce mind-numbing coverage. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
Hi, Chris Arps here. Join me and the team at Royal Banks in Missouri for their annual Economic Forecast Breakfast. The event will take place on Tuesday, November 14th at the Factory in the District in the Chesterfield Valley. Hear from the industry experts and get a better understanding of what to expect from the U.S. economy in 2024 and beyond. Attendance is free, but you do need to reserve a spot. You can RSVP by sending an email to emails@royalbanksnet.com or by calling 314-212-1545. Royal Banks, Missouri, the community bank that is in your community.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Come join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
You can climb a mountain. You can swim the sea. You can jump into the fire. But you never be free.
Oh, this is Stell.
It is Stell.
I was thinking, I was like, what happened to local music day?
Screw it.
But then I remembered, even though we're not going to talk to Mark Close right now, this is Close's Cabinet, which means it's Stell Baby gives us the song. I don't know this. What is this?
Jump into the fire. And I think it's Nielsen. Although the person that's on the phone with us will probably correct me.
Nielsen?
Nilsson?
Nelson?
Nilsson. Nilsson?
SSON. Nilsson? Filling in for Mark Close today. Filling in for Mark Close today on Close's Cabinet is our very own Vic Porcelli, buddy.
Whoa!
Do you know what song that was? Do you know what that was?
Nilsson, yeah.
Okay,
Nelson.
Nelson. All right, got it.
You know the song. You know the song. I can't live if living is without you.
Yes.
That's
No.
it.
All right, gotcha. All right. Yeah, I'm usually pretty good at that, at knowing what those songs are that he picks for the open, but he got me today.
This is one I have never
Mark
heard
would
of.
have a whole like
thing.
in 1978. They came to the Kiel Opera House and they did.
I served them pancakes for breakfast. early in the morning.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So, Vic, I really appreciate you putting in a little overtime with us. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I promised that we would talk about other things today, real important stories outside of the war in Israel and Speaker of the House, but also promised that we would have fun today, like we do every Wednesday with Close's Cabinet, which is also brought to you by Weber Chevrolet. Skip Weber can't be here today either, but it is a great time to purchase a new vehicle at all 3 Weber dealerships. So if you are looking for a new or used car, check out one of the 3 locations, Creve Coeur in Missouri, Granite City and Columbia in Illinois, and learn more at weberchevrolet.com. All right. So, Vic, are you familiar with Close's Cabinet?
Yeah, I am.
Kind of.
I have no cars for sale with low mileage.
Kind of get off the beaten path and look at some of the little more wild or silly stories of the day. First of all, I wanted to start here. Are either of you familiar with the Praz Mitchell trial that is happening right now? The rapper Praz from the Fugees, and his trial that is happening right now.
No clue, Vic. No clue.
I am not familiar at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
It is, and I don't think very many people are. However, this story is wild. Okay. So hold on tight because this thing goes everywhere. Praz, the rapper from the Fugees, was convicted in April for taking part in an extensive conspiracy to use about $88 million in foreign funds to engage in an illegal back channel lobbying and campaigned fundraisers, which funneled money to Barack Obama's 2012 re-election campaign.
I'm so confused.
Hold on. It gets worse. So a rapper, Praz, is somehow involved in this almost $100 million underground illegal campaign to fund all this money illegally to Barack Obama's 2012 reelection campaign. And the man who was helping him, the man at the center of like the mastermind of this, was a man named Joe Lowe, who was one of the primary financiers in the film Wolf of Wall Street. He's one of the people that one of the main characters in Wolf of Wall Street is based after. So because of that, Leonardo DiCaprio testified in this trial because he got to know this Lowe.
Got to know Lowe.
He got to know Lowe while preparing and learning about the movie. So he had to testify because he has a relationship with this guy. So now we've got rapper, we've got millions and millions of dollars, we've got Barack Obama, we've got Leonardo DiCaprio.
So what?
And how does it get weirder? Just this week, I think Monday, Praz is now seeking a new trial, arguing his lawyer used artificial intelligence to generate their closing argument. And that's why they lost the trial. The motion argues that Praz's former defense attorney used an experimental AI program to write his closing argument, which made frivolous arguments, conflated the statements, and failed to highlight key weaknesses in the government's case. And ultimately, Praz thinks lost the case because this lawyer was involved in the creation of this new AI technology. So this was he was like using it on display. Like I had my AI chat box write my closing argument in this famous case, thinking he would win. And so he could advertise it. Is this the most nutty story you've ever heard in your life? Famous rapper, millions and millions of dollars.
Besides everything else.
Yeah.
But famous rapper, millions and millions of dollars. Leonardo DiCaprio,
Obama,
Barack Obama, AI. It's like if this isn't a movie at some point, I don't know what is. It is the damnedest thing I've ever heard. Go ahead, Vic.
Was Leonardo DiCaprio testifying on behalf of the rapper?
No, he was brought in as not a character witness, but somebody who, because the actual financer, who is Asian, I believe, is a fugitive, an international fugitive.
Wow.
So he's on the run. Yeah, he's on the run. So I think that but Leonardo DiCaprio apparently got to know this person pretty well. There's tons of pictures of them together.
What?
And I guess that they became friends while Leonardo was preparing to film Wolf of Wall Street. And so they brought in Leonardo DiCaprio because he could kind of talk about who this guy is and what he does and what he's like and all of that. So he was there, I guess, as a contextual witness, I guess. It's just, is that the freaking wildest story you have ever heard?
Having the AI element just cracks me up because the lengths that we'll go to have something like that incorporated, I mean, that just shows you how far it can be integrated into our lives. Like, that's nuts.
Also, Vic, hey, $88 million illegally to Barack Obama. That's campaign interference. No.
Right. All I have to say is, are we going to talk about Chuck Berry?
I don't know I don't know what's going on with Chuck Berry. Oh, it is? I didn't realize that. I didn't even realize that. I'll let you talk about Chuck Berry. Vic, go right ahead.
Well, today's Chuck Berry's birthday.
Happy birthday, Chuck Berry! You know what? I have a complicated relationship with Chuck Berry because I believe that Chuck Berry is one of the greatest rock and roll legends of all time. Great guitar player. Love that he's from St. Louis, Blueberry Hill, everything else. But he also did some pretty gross things. And so it's hard. I have trouble in my mind, leveling all of that out. I've also heard, and again, I don't want to get into this, but I've heard, like personal stories, maybe later in life when he was not doing as well. Maybe that's part of the reason that he wasn't the greatest person to be around or deal with or whatever. So I have a complicated in my brain, a complicated relationship with Chuck Berry.
Well,
talk me off the ledge, Vic.
All right. Well, when you look at this might not talk you off the ledge, but getting back to playing the hits here for a second, the things that Chuck Berry did, Mann Act, right? Income tax evasion, looking at people getting undressed at Berry Park, right? I think Hunter Biden's done all of those things, but that's a whole nother story. But Chuck Berry, he got screwed a lot, you know what I mean? And because of that, when Chuck Berry played your concert, he gets paid up front before the show starts. If you don't do that, he's not playing. There's a club in New York City called Limelight, and he was going to do a New Year's Eve show there. And he said, well, I get paid up front. And they were like, well, we didn't know that. We can't pay. He goes, all right, I'm leaving. And they had to take money out of the cash registers to have enough money to pay him because they didn't have the money on hand to pay him. So, I've heard those stories too. I guess because I love his music so much, I kind of, pushed that aside a little bit because he was so influential. I mean, the Rolling Stones did a live album called Get Your Ya-Ya's Out, right? It was in 1970, and it was at Madison Square Garden in 1969. There's about 8 songs on that album. 2 of them are Chuck Berry songs. That says enough for me,
Yeah.
That those opening chords of Johnny Be Good and so many of his songs, just it's like heroin for me. I swear to God, I can't get enough of it. And
Vic, I just wanted to say why I stole your thunder of telling Tony that it was his birthday today. It's because I was out last year. This was last year, my first day of maternity leave. And you told me the Friday before I left, if I have Maeve on the 18th, if I just have her on the 18th, she'll have Chuck Berry's birthday. You just kept saying, you said, if you just have her on the 18th, it's Chuck Berry's birthday.
So funny. I remember that. So a little moment in my life, when Jessica was pregnant with Chris, she was due on October 16th. I said, my God, if you hold out for 2 days, the kid will be born on Chuck Berry's birthday.
It's all about Chuck Berry's birthday.
I'll see what I can do. So he was due on the 16th. It didn't come then. The 17th was the terrible earthquake in San Francisco. If you remember that, right? It was during the World Series.
The World
game
Series, yeah.
San Francisco.
Yep.
And I'm working at the radio station. I had like 24-hour watch on her. My brother was at the apartment with her in case anything happened. She calls me and she's like, oh my God, there's an earthquake. And they put the please stand by. That please stand by thing freaks her out, right? I said, well, calm down. You'll drop the baby in the kitchen, So I went home. It was fine. Chuck Berry's birthday came and went. And he was actually born on October 20th. And he shares a birthday with Mickey Mantle and Tom Petty.
Hey, well, that's not too bad.
And Chuck Berry is part of the reason why I live in St. Louis. When I came to interview for the job, when I first interviewed in 1993, the guy who hired me says, yeah, Chuck Berry plays at this place, Blueberry Hill, once a month. I said, what? And he did. Chuck played once a month at Blueberry Hill. He was the first concert I saw when I came here was Chuck Berry at Blueberry Hill. His music and his lyrics, I mean, my God, I've never heard a better poet since Chuck Berry with all his great lyrics.
Yeah, no, I would never take anything away. And in fact, I think that he is vastly underrated when it comes to musicianship, guitar playing, lyrics, all of it. So yeah, there's definitely.
So can I just a couple more quick things?
Please.
Two movie things. One thing, when I went to see Pulp Fiction in the theaters, when John Travolta and Uma Thurman dance that dance, the song that's playing is "You Never Can Tell," which is a Chuck Berry song. And when I was in the theater, I was like, "Oh my God, this is great!" Even better story. The original Back to the Future I saw in the theaters in 1985. So Marty McFly's on stage there, and he says to the band, he goes, "Right, it's a blues riff in B. Watch me for the changes and keep up." And then the camera goes right to his hands, and he kicks into that Johnny B. Good riff. I literally got out of my chair and started screaming because they were going to do Johnny B. Good. I swear to God.
Chuck, you got to hear this. It's your cousin, Marvin.
Here's how it goes.
Marvin.
This is your cousin Marvin. You know that new sound you're looking for?
Yeah.
Well, listen to this. And as soon as he does that, Marty does the duck walk across the stage.
Yep. That's awesome. One more quick one here. Well, we got Vic Porcelli in for Mark Close and Close's Cabinets here on Colombo and Katie. Jada Pinkett Smith. You know what? Talk about some weirdos. Have you been keeping up at all? Have you seen any of this stuff between Jada and Will, and how just weird?
She is such a clout chaser.
How just weird this all is. They've been actually separated for years. Nobody knew that. And just the way that she has openly talked about having other relationships right in front of him and
with her son's friends.
With her son's friends, and he's just like sitting there just taking it and whatever. So she's got this new book that comes out, I think, next week. Comes out in a few days, but it's already getting all this buzz.
Ugh.
There's a chapter in it about the slap at the Oscars when
Sure.
Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. And according to this book, Jada Pinkett Smith, as it was happening, thought it was a skit. She didn't think it was real when he jumped up. She said in her book that she was unclear about why Will Smith was so upset because, quote, "we had been living separate lives and we were there as a family, not as husband and wife." She said, quote, "I can't tell his story of why he did what he did, but I can tell you it had everything to do with Will's own personal battles, which unfolded on a world stage. And what I knew for me for the first time in 6 years since our breakup, that I would stand with him and weather the storm." But she said that when it started, she said, quote, "I thought the whole confrontation looked fake and it was pre-planned."
Jada, nobody cares what you think or what you have to say. Like, it's I was just gonna say that, like, okay, so now that Will is facing all of this backlash, you're finding another way to clout chase. Like, that's all she is ever doing. And I have to say, I feel most sorry for her children. They're all adults now, so whatever. But I think that Will was probably a weirdo, but like a normal kind of weirdo. I think he was a normal, tolerable kind of weirdo. And then Jada comes into the picture.
Another weirdo.
But she's extreme weirdo.
Yeah.
She's like the one that, like, when you
She's
see
not
her
a
walking
tolerable
down the street,
weirdo.
you're like, I'm across the street because you're a little bit too weird for me. And now I just think
I
she's
don't
like,
like-
don't you think, Vic?
I don't like either one of them. Let me start there.
Oh,
okay?
you don't like Will?
No, it also shows you what a phony baloney he is, right? Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
What a phony baloney. You weren't even living with her. You probably haven't seen her in weeks or months before that night, but you get up and slap Chris Rock because he's disparaging your wife, in quotes. You know, what a phony baloney he is, and her, and forget about it.
Yeah. I think that she, for whatever reason, he just is like obsessed with her. And she's just like tortured him with all of these other relationships and broadcasting it to the world. And I think he's, like she said, like he's that had everything to do with his own personal internal battles. Like, I think that was it. I think she's messed him up so bad.
Yeah.
And this isn't, I'm not feeling sorry for him because he did all of this to himself and continues to do that. I did like Will Smith.
I like Will Smith.
I used
think he's a
to,
great
but over the
actor.
last few years, he is a good actor, but I mean, he has just said and done some ridiculous things, especially in recent years. But yeah, I thought it was so like amazing to hear her say, like, I don't know what he was doing. I thought it was a skit. It didn't make any sense to me that he was this mad.
I also, Vic and Tony, you'll have a different, I know we have to go, but you'll have a different perspective on this than I would. But I think when your significant other makes you look weak and vulnerable and completely embarrasses you on their red talk table, which he signed up for that. You're completely right. He signed up to do that interview, which is, again, a clout chasing kind of deal. But when she made him look the way he looked, like a dumb, idiot, stupid husband, I think his reaction was completely wrong, but it was stemmed out of the public's eye of him being weak. And it was completely wrong, but I think it stemmed from that.
Yeah.
You know what? She's a phony baloney. He's a phony baloney. I don't like either one of them.
Yeah, I like weirdos. I like. He was
Well,
a
I know you like
tolerable
weirdos, 'cause
weirdo.
you're a
He was
weirdo.
a normal, tolerable
I like
weirdo.
Katie's. That too, I do like weirdos, but I meant like I like the explanation of weirdos. And Katie, he was a tolerable weirdo.
He was.
Right.
He
Not your
was.
garden variety weirdo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
Vic,
can I do a quick plug, you guys?
Please,
Take me
please.
10 seconds.
Yes.
Tomorrow morning at 9:05, the one person I've been thinking about the most since this whole thing broke out with Israel and Hamas, and that's Karen Cataline, who I got to tell you is not taking all of this very well at all. She's very upset, and we try to, we had her on actually on Monday because of what was going on last week, and she appreciated that. And I don't know, just tune in because she's a great lady, and I just love her to death.
I couldn't agree more. And Karen is a regular on your show and always worth going out of your way to make sure you don't miss that conversation, and especially tomorrow. So great heads up, Vic. Really appreciate it. And thanks for your time. Great. Thanks for putting a little OT today. You bet.
Thanks, Vic.
That is the great Vic Porcelli every morning, 9 a.m. Him and Ken Williams right here on News Talk STL. And make sure you're tuned in right at the beginning of the show tomorrow for that conversation with Karen Cataline. All right. Speaking of AI, talking about AI, that story, seriously, that Praz story is just the Praz from the Fugees and the $88 million and the lawyer using AI to write the closing arguments. I know I laid it all out.
Insane.
But it's like it's so many layers of madness, and it's still going on. Just absolutely crazy. And speaking of AI, brand new technology out, AI technology that claims that it is going to change the way that you shop forever. We'll explain that and more next on Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Tides are changing.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
The Democratic Party doesn't stand with what I stand for.
News Talk STL.
Cannot recommend the great team at Grasser Electric enough. If you have any electrical issue or project, from the very small to the very big, Grasser Electric has you covered at your home or your business. They specialize in all electrical needs, ranging from those large-scale commercial projects all the way down to a simple home service like replacing a bad light switch. We've had them in our home multiple times. I'm actually working right now we're purchasing another new light fixture, and as soon as we have that done, Grasser Electric is coming back over to install it. We've had them in the house multiple times. They are the best. They're easy to work with. The techs are super friendly, and just every step of the way, Grasser Electric is above and beyond. And again, it can be the very big commercial projects all the way down to a simple home service. They have you covered. Also, Grasser never wants anybody to be left in the dark and offers 24-hour emergency services and free quotes for new projects. So if you have an electrical problem or just need a quote for new work, contact Grasser now at 636-441-5200 or just go to grasserelectric.com. That's grasserelectric.com.
I'm always glad to have new sponsors, but I have turned some down. See, I only endorse clients if I believe in them. And I've been a spokesman for John Beal for 10 years. Through those years, listeners said they went with John Beal because they trusted me. And just recently, a woman named Mary wrote, "We got a John Beal roof based on your recommendation." Thank you, Mary, and all the others for calling John Beal. 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
In Britain, the BBC is certainly a leftist organization. They made an editorial decision not to call Hamas terrorists. They're simply calling them militants, fighters, maybe gunmen. As a result, hundreds of protesters gathered outside the broadcaster's headquarters in central London, waving banners, one reading, "If the king can call Hamas terrorists, so can you." And another one said, "How many dead Israelis does it take before the BBC can find the courage to call terror by its name?" Well, we have the same issue in this country right now with some of our Congress members. Congresswoman Cori Bush of Missouri leading the resolution, ceasefire now resolution, saying, "I'm grieving for every Palestinian, Israeli, and American life." You see how they came and in what order? So they're trying to pass a resolution to get Biden to pressure Israel to cease fire. Cori Bush saying, "We cannot bomb our way to peace." Those are her words. You know, does she not understand how Japan ended the war and why? And does she not understand why we should have a strong military? We don't have it to wage war. We have it to avoid war, to keep the peace.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Vincent's Jewelers can help you pick the best gift for someone special. Another reason I like Vincent's has helped raise more than $1.5 million for local charities. Vincent's, locally owned, serving the community more than 42 years. Whenever I'm asked, "What's your favorite jewelry store?" my only jeweler is Vincent's on Olive, east of 270. Give Vincent's a chance to make you happy. Check for daily specials. Vincent's Jewelers Facebook or vincentsjewelers.com. Planning a party with family, friends, maybe a business party? Cafe Napoli has 4 locations, and each has rooms to fit your needs. But a word to the wise, book early. Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Cafe Napoli in Town and Country, Napoli 3 on the streets of St. Charles, or right next door, Napoli C. Also get some Cafe Napoli gift cards, good for all locations, anytime. I'll see you at Cafe Napoli.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Car and Driver magazine says the 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser is cool and affordable. 2024 Toyotas are showing up every day, ready for immediate delivery at Ackerman. In fact, Toyota has awarded Ackerman more vehicles than all competitors. Check it out yourself at Ackerman Toyota, Hampton and Interstate 44, or online, AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota will get you the best deal. Ackerman Toyota, for life.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Crazy busy day, jumping back into the news cycle and everything that is happening after a little bit of a break there with Vic Porcelli and Close's cabinet. We have the Attorney General of the state of Missouri, Andrew Bailey, on the line, and want to talk to the Attorney General. But of course, as soon as that's happening, the president is speaking live right now. He is at an airbase, U.S. airbase in Germany, and he just wrapped up his visit to Israel, and he is addressing the press right now. Let's dip into this for just a second to see what the president is saying. This is live.
Mass shooting, every circumstance where a large number of people have been victimized and lost. I spoke with him.
We'll listen to that. That's almost that's almost unlistenable.
Like way too much outside noise.
Yeah, that's way too loud. But the president he just wrapped up his visit to Israel. He's speaking live. We will monitor these comments, and then we will let you know if there is anything important said by the president after this is over with. All right. As I mentioned, joining us now on the line is Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Mr. Attorney General, thanks so much for your time. We're a little late getting to you. Really apologize. It's just what a crazy world we live in these days, and I can't imagine how busy you are as well. So can't thank you enough for your time this afternoon. How are you, sir?
Hey, Mr. Speaker, thank you so much for having me on. What a privilege to be here with you. I know what a crazy news cycle this is. And can I just say, these protests that are going on in Washington, D.C. right now in support of Hamas terrorists are disgusting. And the fact that we've got a congresswoman from St. Louis who is at this point a terror enabler by refusing to stand up and denounce Hamas terrorist attacks against the nation of Israel for what they are. She should be ashamed of herself. And these protesters in D.C., if they aren't treated the exact same way that the folks that were present on January 6th are, then that's further evidence that this Biden administration has completely weaponized the Department of Justice to solely go after political opponents. And so we will be watching and holding wrongdoers accountable in the federal government.
Very well said. And, we touched on this a little bit earlier. It's like, the two biggest stories in the country right now and maybe in the world right now, the situation with the Speaker of the House and the war in Israel are kind of coming together. We talked earlier. There's a United States senator that is a Republican senator that is urging Republicans in the House to get their act together because they can't take action. They can't pass a resolution or anything else against people like Cori Bush, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, who continue to this day. We were just reporting on comments made by those congresswomen earlier today, condemning Israel and standing up for or making excuses for terrorists. And it's just been, if there's been one thing that has completely caught me off guard, and it's hard to do that anymore, it's how vocal this anti-Israel voice has been and how much the media has allowed it to be focused on without really doing anything to tamp it down. It's been absolutely shocking and one of the saddest developments out of this whole thing. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely shameful. Absolutely shameful. And I would go, I think it's actually crossed another line. I mean, the depth of depravity that we've reached here, where we've got individuals in Congress, representatives in Congress, to include one from the great state of Missouri, who are at this point supporting terrorist organizations. I mean, this would have been unheard of 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. I mean, look, I served in the war on terror and took the fight to the enemies of freedom, took the fight to radical terrorists that wanted to destroy America. And that's exactly what we're seeing now, is those same terror groups are operating with Hamas to try to destroy the nation of Israel. The genocide is against the Israeli people, and the nation of Israel has a right to defend itself. I mean, look at the innocent women and children that were butchered when Hamas launched these attacks from the Gaza Strip. And so military action is absolutely appropriate here. And look, I'm scared as an American, not only because we have enemy sympathizers serving in our United States Congress, but also because look at how President Biden has refused to close our southern border. Yes. If Hamas can slip across the border into Israel, one of the most secure borders in the world, how many terrorists are now in the United States of America because President Biden refuses to do his job there? And I absolutely agree with you. We need a Speaker of the House, because someone has to stand up and lead, because we're not going to get any leadership from the president. That's who's responsible for it. But instead of doing his job, he's doing the opposite, which is enabling the terrorists by allowing them across the southern border. And then you've got the clown show on the Democrat side in the U.S. House that's actually supporting the terrorist groups at this point.
Yeah. And I think you make such a great point talking to Missouri AG Andrew Bailey about the border. And it's been, if we've learned one thing over the last couple of years, it's that the border problem is not exclusive to border states. It's something that drastically impacts the entire country. And now, with what's happening in the Middle East and realizing, we're talking about Hispanic migrants coming into the country, or the drug cartels and the dangers that are brought with that. But now this war in the Middle East is playing a huge role. How much do you fear for the safety of the people of Missouri because of that, the gaping problem at the border? And what, if anything, can we do about it?
Well, this is a top priority issue for my time as the Attorney General of my administration. We have got to force the president to do his job and secure the border. Look, immigration law has not changed over the past 50 years. And so what President Trump did was just use the tools on the books now to reduce illegal border crossings by more than 90%. The border was secure, and yet as soon as Biden showed up, actually before he was even sworn in, there were throngs, human masses of people waiting to come across because he flashed a big open sign, and he's perverted the law to allow the parole process to turn into a amnesty for large swaths of people. We filed a lawsuit on that to end that loophole, end Biden's perversion of the law that's resulting in Missouri communities being less safe because human trafficking and fentanyl are flowing into our communities. Like you said, every state's a border state at this point. We've also filed another lawsuit against the Biden administration to force him to use the money Congress has appropriated to finish building the border wall. The appropriations bill is a law. He's got to follow it. And so we filed suit to force that. Just were affirmed at the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. And so that case is moving forward. That's 2 lawsuits. We've just recently demanded that the Department of Homeland Security promulgate a rule to end the catch and release program at the border. They're letting in millions upon millions of people every year that are just turned loose in the United States of America with no accountability at all. So, I have grave concerns. And it's one thing, I mean, like I said, it's making Missouri communities less safe. We know that there's fentanyl and human trafficking going on in the state of Missouri as a result of this open border crisis. But what is it going to take for people to wake up and smell the coffee on this issue? I mean, is it going to take another terror attack like 9/11? I pray to God that's not the case, but we have to remain vigilant on this issue. We've got to keep fighting back to ensure that President Biden does his job and closes down that border and uses the laws on the books to put a stop to it.
Yeah, I agree. It's not hyperbole to speak in those, make those comparisons, because it's a very serious and realistic concern right now. Got a few minutes left here with Attorney General Bailey, and I want to ask you the same question that we had Missouri Senator Nick Schroer on the show a little more than an hour ago. And I'm going to ask you the same question I asked him. With this division and, the big controversy happening in the Republican Party on Capitol Hill, and a lot of people getting a real bad taste in their mouth about Republicans not being able to get on the same page or move forward and all the infighting, how much damage does that do, not only to the party nationally for national elections, but how much of that, if any, does that extend down to the state level of politics and maybe benefit Democrats, both statewide and the Biden administration, whenever the spotlight is on the dysfunction in the Republican Party? How bad can that be for Republicans throughout the entire country, not just in Washington, D.C.?
I think it's a bad deal. I look at and you've been a Speaker of the House. I mean, you've led an organization that had a caucus of varied interests and values, but you coalesced around a shared goal, a shared ambition, a shared love of our state and our country. And then we've got to do the same thing here. I mean, we cannot let this divisiveness within the party be a distraction. We should be fighting the Democrats, not one another. Let's coalesce around a set of shared values, conservative principles, and then let's fight the Democrats on pushing those conservative principles forward and defending those conservative principles rather than fighting one another.
Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Hopefully we can get you back on real soon. In the meantime, we're getting closer and closer to another legislative session in the state of Missouri. And of course, your office never stops. What are all the best places, websites, social media, if people want to keep up with everything that you are working on?
Yeah, check us out at ago.mo.gov. That's ago.mo.gov. You can follow we've got 27 pending lawsuits against the Biden administration right now. We're going to keep fighting that. We're fighting the Wentzville School Board to prevent the transgender bathroom policy that was done without any parental consent. Check us out. Follow us on social media.
Go get them, Mr. Attorney General. Thanks so much for your time this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, sir. All the best to you and your listeners.
Thank you. Great stuff there from Missouri AG Andrew Bailey. What a show, jam-packed. Make sure you're subscribed to the Colombo and Katie podcast in case you missed any of it. And at Colombo and Katie, we will be back tomorrow at 2. Keep it here for the O'Reilly Report next, then the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show, and then Larry Connors USA. Thanks so much for listening to us and supporting us here at 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Questions, I've got no answers.
Bill O'Reilly here. You are listening to the O'Reilly Update. Coming up next, the news with Mike Slater.
Thank you, Bill. It is Wednesday, October 18th, 2023. Here's what's happening today in America. Biden and Israel. Israelis strike hospital, or do they? Deporting Hamas supporters and another prison escape. It's all coming up. And Bill will be here with your message of the day. But first, President Joe Biden in Israel today.